All right, and so we watched the Moon Knight trailer. I reacted to the Moon Knight trailer. I reacted to the Walking Dead Season 11B trailer. Now tonight, for the remainder, we're gonna watch the Walking Dead Season 11 Episode 6 on the inside. You know, we usually talk before the thing, but I think we already watched a lot of trailers. So I think we've done our pre-game talk. So let's get right into Walking Dead Season 11 Episode 6 on the inside. Let's go. Oh yeah, I remember this one. I love the way this episode starts. This is classic zombie horror. I forget that guy's name too. The guy that captured Michonne on the island and gave her hallucinogens. But I'm sure I'll relearn it soon. Yeah, I love the whole setting for this episode. This is very much like a horror movie. I love how they've set this at night. You set it at night. You got a spooky house and the living dead outside. It's almost a bit like, maybe not exactly, because I know what happens in this episode, but the way they've set it up, it's almost like Night of the Living Dead. It's kind of classic horror. I appreciate that. There's Aaron, the torturer. That should be how he's remembered. And, historically, how we give, some of these people like weird names, like so-and-so the barbarian or so-and-so the conqueror. You should be Aaron the torturer because you tortured that guy in the last episode. Spooky house. Somebody like to stuff animals. If you've ever seen Psycho, you know that might not be so good. It may be a warning sign. I don't think taxidermy in and of itself necessarily means that the person has to be a killer. Although this episode would seem to bear out that what would you call it? Prejudice against taxidermists. So she has good intuition. But I wonder, is she prejudiced against taxidermy? Because, like, what vibe, what's giving her bad vibes about this house, right? Is it all the stuffed animals, like literally stuffed animals? Is she prejudiced against taxidermy? I don't stand for taxidermy prejudice, okay? It's like what Jaws did to sharks. That's what Psycho did to taxidermy. It's not right. I don't like it. No. I forgot. I thought this episode was confined to that house, but we're cutting away. I was saying the other day, like, I was mulling over the first two episodes of this season, Acheron parts 1 and 2. And I was kind of thinking, like, actually, I know they have to tell a certain amount of story within a certain amount of time, but I felt like the A story, which was them in the tunnel, versus the B story, which is the Alexandria portion of the story, I kind of felt like the B story was detracting from the A story. They were so disparate, had almost nothing to do with each other. They are going out to get supplies for Alexandria, but
I know what I'm doing.
He's trying to prove to the Reapers that he's Reaper material. So he's fucking up one of his friends. It's not cool, but you get it. You get it. It's okay, man. It's just business. It's okay that I choked you out, bro. It was just so I could get on the inside. But what option does he have? Oh, is he getting it? Is he getting it? I don't think he's getting it.
Go to hell, ass.
I thought for a second he was getting what Daryl was doing.
I can't.
You don't have to give him a real location. You know, if Pope's mustache was white, he could pass for the Monopoly guy. Uh-oh. This is like the serial killer from South Park. God. The one, you remember when they were making fun of Manhunter or Red Dragon?
I see you like cutting the eyes out of photos of women. My son is a big fan of that too.
My son's a big fan of cutting the eyes out of photos of women too. Totally normal. So there's a lot of kind of classic horror elements to this episode. One of them, like it starts off a little bit like Night of the Living Dead, and then it kind of turns into People Under the Stairs, if you've ever seen that movie. I wonder if they consciously did that, like they kind of blended those. You got Night of the Living Dead, a little bit of Psycho, and People Under the Stairs. I'm wondering if they were like consciously making homages to these movies, or if it just kind of came to them, because it's actually kind of good, you know, like as an homage. Like I think it turned out really well. Yeah, somebody was complaining that like the Reapers showed up with masks and then they never wore them again. They're casing this house and they're trying to sneak in. I don't know if you want to have like a goofy Halloween mask for that. You know, it could mess things up because you don't have no peripheral eye vision if you're wearing a Halloween mask while you're casing a place. Maybe the guy did give them a fake house. I wonder, did he do that and also even like get his finger cut off to really sell it? I don't know. It's pretty hardcore if he did that. Because it looked kind of like he knew what Daryl was doing it looked like he knew what the plan was for a moment. We saw Kelly rocking a new hairstyle in the 11B trailer. Weapon of choice. Slingshot. So it looks like the people under the stairs possibly herded them into the house. Virgil, is that the guy's name? That'd be pretty amazing if I remembered that. I think this episode, along with Akaram Part 1 and 2, might be the best episodes this season. Yes! This is an interesting thing that they're doing with the show. We now have basically people who've reverted to cave people. You know, which is kind of like, in certain situations, you know, that's kind of what I was saying in an episode a few days ago. Like, I wonder if there's any people that have been isolated, you know, kind of like in the movie Nell, where they develop weird languages. And I would think eventually you're going to get some people who basically revert to like pure animal instinct, right? So I think that's a clever idea for an episode. So yeah, this one, and I love these subway tunnel parts of Akaran Part 1 and 2. I think those are the best episodes so far this season.
What the hell were you thinking?
There's Lady.
You should have told us.
Lady who I can't
You're
remember her
hiding out.
name. There's a lot of random, in addition to having taxidermied animals, they've also got a lot of spare jars, you know, which is also could be a bit of a sign. Oh, and there's also the basement full of skeletal remains. Now we're doing a little bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this is a good episode. They put a lot of really great, like, classic horror stuff in here. And so clearly these people are also cannibals, too. Uh-oh. They didn't know she could go under the stairs, too. I wonder, did they live in the house? Did the cave people live in the house originally, or what? We never really get a good look at their face, so it's kind of hard to tell how old they are, but presumably there is a 5-year time jump that we experience, so maybe a little more than 10 years has passed. I'm only saying because I don't know if you would necessarily deteriorate to a cave person if you had lived in normal society previously. But if you've been born into the post-apocalypse zombie wasteland, then yeah, I can see you becoming a cave person. But it's cool, you know, like the kid from Jungle Book was basically a cave person. And he turned out all right, right? And their movement is choreographed. They have an interesting, like sort of, and they all move in roughly the same way, you know? So it's not just their lack of vocal ability, it's also their their movement and mannerisms, you know? I said a word. Hungry. Yeah, like this episode is maybe the best episode of this season so far. It is a lot of great stuff.
I'm right here, man.
Make a move.
Come on, man. Make a move. See a dark and stormy night. People may think it's a cliche. There's a reason why it works.
I've never seen people this far gone.
I mean, I think that's an interest. This is a little side story, but I think that's one of the more interesting aspects of the show is seeing how people, how various people live in different ways and react in different ways in the post-apocalyptic zombie world. So, and this is kind of a logical progression, really, if you think about it.
I lost myself for a long time. Off the map.
You sure did. I remember.
If you
Oh, the sad music. It's
can
touching
find
my heart.
family, I need you to promise me that you will keep going no matter what happens.
You could do it, Connie. There you go. Together.
Together.
Don't split up during the zombie apocalypse. In the house of the people under the stairs, Chainsaw Massacre has eyes. You don't split up in the middle of that. No, sir. Oh, we got a cave woman. Is she wearing a top? I can't tell. I wanted to see some of them cave.
Big old titties.
Yeah, so really throughout the entirety of the show, like the people that I thought were like the most far gone, you know, he was saying these are like, he's never seen anyone this far gone. Really prior to these people, it was like the Terminus people for me. But yeah, I would agree, these are like the most devolved of the groups they've run into. Goodbye, cave people. We barely knew ye. Was that the cave woman again? I wanted to see, I still didn't get to see what her outfit looked like. I was very curious about that. It's me scratching my head like a cave person. It's a happy ending. That's sweet. Bummer, man. Bet now Daryl feels like a bit of an asshole. But what could he do? I don't know. It might have been the only play that he had. Sometimes, when life gives you lemons, you torture your friend and let him become a zombie. I think that's how the saying goes. All right. Well, that was Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 6, On the Inside. I thought that episode was fantastic. Like I said, I loved that they, it was a bit of, like, the Daryl story was basically, I guess, the main, the main plot thread, but, the Virgil Connie story, I thought was excellent. Like, it was very much, like, classic horror movie stuff. you start out Night of the Living Dead, then you get into People Under the Stairs, then you're in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes, and I forgot what the other one I mentioned was, but yeah, they really did a great job. Stylistically, it was like it was very creepy, like just from really beginning to end. But I will say, like I was saying earlier, that actually they might have been detracting from it a little bit by cutting to the other story, which I know you have to do because you have to, you only have a certain amount of time to get all of this information, the other storyline to the audience. But it was kind of the same complaint that I had with Acheron 1 and 2. I felt like, again, for the same reason, I thought they had a very classic, or maybe not classic horror movie, but almost like a disaster horror movie where people are like stuck, they're walking through a tunnel and the train, they got to get through the stuck train and blah, blah, blah. But I kind of felt like the B story was detracting a little bit when they were cutting to Alexandria from the A story. But still, even despite that, I think episode 6 was fantastic. And it might, along with Acheron 1 and 2, it might be the best episode in season 11 so far. Season 11 generally, I think it's been pretty good so far. Like I said, I'm not so into this Commonwealth storyline, but even that is kind of interesting. It has a bit of intrigue, but you don't really expect a lot of intrigue in post-apocalypse zombie world, but a lot of political intrigue. But it kind of has that because this Commonwealth society is so, so complex and but, I don't know where that's going to go. But getting back to season 11, episode 6, On the Inside, I'm not sure what that story or what that title is referring to. But, yeah, fantastic episode. Probably my favorite episode of this season. 0 complaints. And I, never let it be said that I'm absolutely 100% against a happy ending because, I think it's sweet that Connie and Kelly have been reunited. I still don't know other girl's name, the girl that was with them in that group originally, but I'm sure I'll find out eventually. We're going to get started on episode 7, and after that we only got one more left. And then season 11 starts back up February 13th. Be there or be square.
Do you want to see my cotton panties?